4 feet under your backyard right now, the soil is sitting at a steady 55 degrees Fahrenheit, while your kitchen thermostat says it's 95, and the electric meter outside is spinning like a slot machine. That gap is where an entire cooling method has been quietly sitting in the ground for over 100 years, and it costs about as much as a nice dinner out to tap into. Here's the problem most of us live with every summer. The AC kicks on, the bill climbs, and the second that compressor dies, usually right when you need it most, you're looking at a repair quote that makes you wince, or a full replacement that runs into the thousands. Window units help a little and cost a little less, but they're loud, they leak, and they're fighting the same battle the whole time. Cooling air that's already hot, using a machine that's already tired. Every fix on the market treats the symptom. None of them touch the actual heat. But there's a much older answer sitting under the grass, and it doesn't involve a compressor at all. It's just a pipe, buried at the right depth, doing something the ground has been doing on its own since before anyone figured out how to bottle Freon. The idea isn't new, and it isn't secret in the sinister sense. It's just been out of fashion for exactly as long as gas and electric cooling have been profitable. Long before central air existed, farmhouses across parts of Europe, and later some of the old stone farmhouses built by German-speaking settlers in Pennsylvania Dutch country, used clay pipes running through their foundations to pull outside air through the cool earth before it ever reached a living room. Some of those original clay runs are still physically intact in old foundations today, generations after anyone thought to maintain them, simply because there was nothing mechanical inside them to wear out. The concept crossed the Atlantic with the people who built those houses, and it sat there quietly doing its job while the rest of the country switched over to furnaces and window units. Here's the part that actually explains why it works, and it's simpler than it sounds. Go deep enough into soil, usually 4 to 6 feet, and the temperature stops swinging with the weather. It holds close to the year-round average for your region, which in a lot of the U.S. lands somewhere in the low to mid-50s Fahrenheit. That's not folklore, it's basic soil physics. Heat moves through dirt slowly, and by the time a summer heat wave has worked its way down to pipe depth, it's often months later and the surface has already cooled off again. Researchers call this thermal lag. The ground you're standing on in July is still remembering February. Push air through a long, buried pipe at that depth, slowly, and it comes out the other end tempered by months-old cold, arriving in your house 15 to 25 degrees cooler than what's outside, depending on tube length, soil moisture, and airflow speed. No refrigerant, no compressor, no chemistry, just geometry and time. So why isn't this the default cooling method in every hardware store in America? Mostly because there's no business model attached to it. A gas furnace has a manufacturer, a dealer network, a repair cycle, a refrigerant supply chain, and a utility bill tied to it every single month. Dozens of companies have a direct financial stake in you buying, maintaining, and eventually replacing that equipment. A $300 length of pipe in your yard has none of that. Nobody services it. Nobody sells you a maintenance plan. There's no recurring revenue anywhere in the process, so there's no marketing budget behind it either. It's not that anyone banned it, it just never had anyone whose job was to sell it to you. You can find versions of this same principle, called an earth-air-heat exchanger or Erdwärmetauscher in German building science literature, studied and used across parts of Central Europe for decades, sometimes tied into whole-house ventilation systems in passive houses. The engineering isn't fringe. It shows up in peer-reviewed HVAC and building science research. It's just rarely mentioned to a homeowner standing in the AC aisle of a hardware store. Here's how you'd actually build one. You need roughly 30 to 50 feet of smoothbore PVC pipe, 4 to 8 inches in diameter. A rented walk-behind trencher digs the run in an afternoon. The trench needs to sit at least 4 feet deep for the temperature stability to kick in. The pipe has to slope continuously. A rule of thumb is roughly a 1-inch drop for every 8 to 10 feet of run, from the intake end down toward a drainage point, with 0 low spots where water can sit. Cap the outdoor intake with a screened vent to keep out debris and pests. On the indoor end, you either tie into your existing forced air return duct with a sealed transition, or feed a dedicated register in one room if you're running window units or a mini split. A small inline duct fan, pulling maybe as much power as a light bulb, keeps a slow, steady draw of air moving through the pipe. Total parts cost typically lands somewhere between $200 and $400, depending on pipe length and fan choice, and it's realistically a one-weekend project for someone reasonably handy. No special trade license required in most places, since it's classified as passive ventilation rather than mechanical cooling equipment. Now, for the limits, because this isn't magic, and it isn't a full AC replacement in every climate, the single failure point of every badly built version of this system is condensation. Warm, humid air meeting a cool pipe wall will produce water. And if that water has nowhere to go, you get standing moisture and eventually microbial growth. This is the one legitimate criticism you'll hear from building scientists, and it's a completely fair one. The fix is exactly the slope and drain point already built into the design above, get that right, and studies on well-drained systems have found air quality at the outlet statistically similar to ordinary outdoor air. Skip the slope, and you'll regret it by August. This also works best as a supplement to existing cooling and humid climates, or as your primary summer cooling in drier ones. In very humid regions, you may still want a small dehumidifier or a mini split to finish the job on the worst days. And soil that's bone dry conducts heat far worse than soil with some moisture in it, so performance varies with your yard, your climate, and your local water table. None of this is about tearing out your AC unit tomorrow. It's about understanding that the ground under your feet has been running a free, silent, zero-maintenance cooling system for longer than the electrical grid has existed, and most of us never learned to use it, not because it's difficult, but because nobody had a reason to teach us. The most useful thing you can walk away with isn't a trench in your backyard. It's the habit of asking every time something costs you money every month, whether the actual physics behind the problem was already solved quietly a long time ago. Secret lab.